Hey everybody, what's happening? My name's Steven.
And I'm Spencer.
We work with Nexus Youth and Family Services here in Amador County. What we want to do today is bring you a presentation regarding alcohol. We know that it can affect your body greatly, so what we want to do is give you as much information in a short amount of time as possible, so we're just going to jump right into it.
So first, one of the things we asked at the beginning of class is, what does one drink constitute? So if you hear somebody say, oh, I only had one. This is a common thing people say to the police when they get arrested, when they get pulled over for drunk driving. I only had one drink, officer. So for our purposes here today, just remember that one drink will be the equivalent of one 12-ounce beer, 8 to 9 ounces of malt liquor, 5 ounces of wine, or 1.5 ounces of hard liquor, which would be spirits like whiskey, gin, rum, vodka, those kind of things. All of these things, even though they have differing volumes, have the same amount of pure alcohol in them.
All right. So when it comes to that, the duration of this presentation, that's going to be our topic for the definition of our drink, is what Spencer just said. So we're going to go ahead and discuss the types of drinking behaviors. First, we want to cover abstinence. About 30% of all adult Americans don't drink at all. And there's a multitude of reasons why that might be, and a couple of reasons that we put on there was a religion. Because of the religious affiliation, they may not drink. It's not part of that. Alcoholism, they may have experienced it in the past, or maybe they have an allergy to whatever ingredients are in the alcohol. Also, family history. For a lot of people, this is one that's very, very heavy for them, and it's one of the main reasons people choose not to drink in this abstinence. And then after that, we have ritual. Ritual is drinking alcohol in the context of a religious service or a family rite. Typically, we don't have a lot of those sort of family rites here in the United States, but there are some. We did say religious services, so it could be church or a Sabbath. It could be a wedding toast or a bar mitzvah. And so typically when it comes to this ritual drinking, there's not a lot of consumption there. It's kind of a small amount of alcohol that's used in a very short period of time. And then the third one we have is social. This is people that drink in social settings and in moderate quantities. Sometimes you could hear someone say like, oh, I'm just a social drinker, which to them might mean they go out once in a while and they drink quite a lot. That's not what we're saying. A social drinker is somebody that drinks in those social settings, but in moderate quantities. And so that's really important that you understand the definition of social drinking.
So a couple more types of drinking behaviors here we have. The top one there is compulsive or problem drinking. This is when alcohol is used to cope with somebody's problems or their negative feelings. It involves drinking too much, way too often. This type of drinking is very destructive and frequently increases a person's problems rather than decreasing them. It's important to remember here, guys, that alcohol is a depressant. So whenever you have these negative feelings or whatever problems you may have in your life, using alcohol to cope with those is actually going to make them worse. And overall, it doesn't make them go away. It doesn't fix that problem. When you wake up in the morning, when a person wakes up in the morning from a night of compulsive drinking, those problems, those negative feelings are still there. So just remember that alcohol is a depressant and will make these feelings and these thoughts even worse. And the last one we have up here, guys, is binge drinking, which is the consumption of an excessive amount of alcohol in a short period of time. This is very common at high school and college parties alike for a couple of different reasons. One of them being some people just like to show up at the party, hey, I want to get there really quick. So they start just drinking drinks really fast, whether it's taking a lot of shots or chugging down a bunch of beer, whatever it may be. Or somebody gets to the party late and they decide, hey, I'm going to try to catch up, and they start doing the same kind of thing. Pounding a bunch of shots or pounding a bunch of beers, whatever it may be. And that's what can lead to people getting extremely sick and sometimes even hospitalized with alcohol poisoning and having to get their stomach pumped.
Absolutely, those are good points, Spence. And alcohol, what it can do is it can also cause your liver to develop cirrhosis, which, as you can see on the top picture there, that's a healthy liver. The picture below that is the cirrhosis of the liver, which can happen from a lot of alcohol consumption. In addition to that, you can have swelling of your liver, you can get liver cancer, and even result in the possibility of liver failure with too much consumption of alcohol. 4,300, that's 4,300 youth die every single year due to excessive underage drinking. Some of it is in affiliation to what Spencer said when it came to binge drinking, whether it's too much alcohol consumption or whatever it might be, or risky decision making like we have down here on the bottom as well. Also, the youth that start drinking before the age of 15 are 6 times more likely to develop that dependency or addiction than those who start at the age of 21 or after. That number is pretty significant. 6 times more likely. That's a pretty hefty number.
Yeah.
Also, every single day in the United States, 13,000 youth, that's people from the age of anywhere under the age of 18, take their first drink of alcohol. That's a very large number. And then we have this information here that says alcohol can lead to excessive thirst, mood changes, loss of balance, blackout, coma, and death. And we would also add decision making. So yes, it might seem like it could be fun. It could be all of these things supposedly. But it's also very important that you understand that these are some very significant chances or things that could happen to you if you were to consume alcohol.
So just a little bit more. A study done in 2015 showed that about 33% of the high school students that have been surveyed reported drinking in the last 30 days. And of that 33%, 90% of those students reported binge drinking. Those are both big numbers. To have 1/3 of the students on the survey report drinking in the past month, and then 90% of those students say they had binge drink, that's a huge number. And then we have 1/5 or 20% of those same students who had been binge drinking had reported that they rode with somebody who had been drinking. Very important, guys. We cannot stress this enough. If you ever have alcohol, or if you're ever around somebody who has alcohol and they've been drinking, make sure not to get in the car with them. Do not get in the car with somebody who's been drinking. It's very dangerous, especially the roads up here. I know people like to think, oh, I know the roads up here like the back of my hand. That may be true, but with alcohol, it slows down your reaction time and all those kind of things. Slows down, messes up your vision. So it's really important not to get in the car with somebody who's been drinking.
Absolutely.
We have here, on average, underage drinkers consume more alcohol one time than adults do. Again, that has binge drinking to do with it, and also just has the fact that they don't understand, sometimes young people don't understand how quickly and how hard alcohol can actually hit you. And then we have this statistics which really surprised both Stephen and myself when we first saw it a while back. And it says that people ages 12 to 20 consume 11% of all the alcohol consumed in the United States every single year. That is a massive amount of alcohol for young people in this country to be consuming, and we need to work on getting that number down. And then here we have approximately, in 2013, approximately 119,000 emergency room visits were by people 12 to 21 for some injury related to alcohol, whether it be car accidents, alcohol poisoning, etc. And on the bottom there, the last one we have here is 1 out of 4 fatality in car accidents involved somebody who was underage drinking and driving.
And this presentation means something to me, and it's not just because of the topic, but this is a very poor representation or drawing, per se, of a situation that happened in my life. Maybe you've known somebody that has been in a drunk driving accident. Maybe you know somebody that's been hurt. Maybe you've been in an accident. Or maybe you know somebody that's died from it. And so what this is a quick representation of what happened to me, or what happened to my family, I should say, on Christmas morning 2016. So my sister's car would be this one, the yellow one. The car behind it is the green one, and that is the person that hit my sister. That driver was doing 124 miles an hour. If that wasn't bad enough sober, his blood alcohol content level was 0.24, which is 3 times the legal limit in California as well as in Nevada. So what happened was they were heading home. She had a friend with her. They were heading home, and this car, the green car, came behind them at a high rate of speed. They go to merge over, and as they merge over, he hits the driver's rear side, which would be this side here. And then he causes the car to spin, and then the car ultimately began to roll. Once the car started rolling, my sister was ejected from the vehicle. And this would be my sister here. And this is just, like I said, a quick representation of it. These train tracks were about 150 feet from the road. And my sister was found on the other side of the train tracks. And so what happened was, as the highway patrol showed up and the medical personnel showed up, they began talking to the girl that was in the car, and they wanted to know if there was anybody else. And once they realized there was, they began searching for my sister. They found her about 30 minutes later. So what happened was, Christmas morning, I get a knock on my door at 5:30 in the morning. It's my dad. My dad says, hey, your sister's been in an accident. We need to go get her. Well, go get her is kind of a different thing when she was in such a severe accident. So I was on the phone for multiple times, probably 15 to 20 minutes at a time, trying to speak to somebody that would maybe break the law and tell me what was going on with her. But they wouldn't do that because they could not confirm that I was the next of kin for her, which means they could give me and release her medical information. So I drove from Jackson to Reno not knowing if she was alive. She did survive. She suffered major injuries. She's had over 17 major surgeries, broke all the major bones on the left side of her body. She was in a coma for a month and a half, and she has recovered. She is recovering to this day. She is not back to 100%. She is working. She is pursuing school and all of these things. But it's important for you to understand that my sister got lucky. And this young man that was driving the car that hit my sister's car was a product of making a bad choice. He made the wrong choice to get behind the wheel of a vehicle after he'd been drinking. So as Spencer said, 1 in 4 is a high number. We want that number to be 0. We want no more youth dying from car accidents. We're grateful that my sister's okay and she's progressing daily. We are beyond grateful for that. So what we're going to do is at the end of the video, there'll be a number. We'll put our phone numbers on there so you guys can have it. So if something comes up, give us a call. We want to make sure that you don't experience something like this. Or if when you get into high school, you don't get in the car with a high school friend that's been drinking. Or you're not that person when you get your license that gets behind the wheel because of the dangers of our roads, what it does to your body, the impairment, whether it's your eyesight or just your reaction time. It's all of those things are really important. So just please choose not to do that for us and more importantly for yourself as well.
And thanks for sharing that, Stephen.
Yes, ma'am.
So next, let's talk about, for you athletes out there, what alcohol can do to the athletic body. So you see on the top there, it says 1 night of drinking can erase up to 2 weeks of training. So all that practice you do leading up to that big game, you get the win, then people go out and party and stuff, all that training before that just goes away. Your body doesn't react well to it. Alcohol does not mix well with an athletic body. The use of alcohol as well as tobacco reduces blood flow to the brain, which will decrease athletic performance. Obviously, if you don't have enough blood flow into your brain's going to work slower, and that means you're slower on the field, the court, whatever it may be. So as you see here, the places where that is affected is your speed, your agility, your strength, and your concentration are all affected. 54.8% of athletes who drink suffer from an injury compared to 28.3% of non-drinkers. So obviously, if you're slower, you're not as agile, you're not as strong, or you're not concentrating enough during your game, you have a higher chance of getting hurt.
Almost double. That seems really high.
Yeah, it's really high. It's scary high. And then you see the bottom right here, high school and college athletes lose about 15 to 30% of their overall performance when they drink alcohol. Again, that's a lot to lose, guys. That's a lot to be sacrificing just to have some drinks.
Absolutely. And in addition to that, we're going to cover 4 other things, and it's reaction time is the first one. Your reaction time can be reduced up to 38% when using alcohol and tobacco. So this translates to how fast you can get off the line, whether you can block a shot, whether you can get off the starting block, maybe swinging a bat, whatever it might be. It slows that reaction time down, which probably is one of the reasons that you get injured more easily than those that do not drink. The second would be reduced testosterone levels. So the decreased level of testosterone translates to a decrease in lean muscle mass. If you're an athlete, lean muscle mass is important. It's your strength, it's your endurance, it comes to all of that. So it's really, really important that your reduced testosterone levels not be affected when it comes to these. Also, we have the shorter memory span and damage to the hippocampus. It's the part of the brain where learning takes place. So if you're not fully fully attentive in practice and you're not remembering the things that coach wants you to remember, it could be problematic, and if drinking is part of that. And then there's insufficient rest. So alcohol causes sleep disruption, and it's one of the most detrimental aspects to a recovering athlete. If you've worked hard in practice, you've worked hard in the weight room, you want to make sure you're recovering, and consuming alcohol can slow that process down. It also prevents the brain from going into a natural deep sleep REM cycle. That's the really, really deep sleep where your body recovers the best it can. Also, nutrition. You can get weight gain, you can gain weight, and it's not good weight, it's not good muscle. And then alcohol also intervenes with the way the body processes minerals, especially zinc. Zinc is important for the building of your endurance when it comes to running and muscle fatigue and all the other things that you might be doing when it comes to your personal sport.
Definitely. So that will be it for us today, you guys. Thanks for listening. And again, like we said earlier, we wanted to bring this presentation to you. We are aware that if you haven't been offered already, you will soon in the future be offered alcohol at some point in your life, whether it's in junior high or once you get up to high school. And so what we want to do, Steve and myself, and the whole company of Nexus really, is to give you guys as much information as you can so you guys make intelligent decisions. Obviously, we as Nexus don't condone the use of any alcohol for any underage people, but we also want to provide you with much information you can have so that you can make an intelligent decision about what you're doing with your own body. So whether you're, a scholar or an athlete, we've talked about how alcohol can affect both. So like I said, we just want to give you as much information as we can. Again, Steven said we put our phone number up. Here we are right here, 257-1980. Listen for either one of our extensions. If you have any questions or anything, please give us a call, guys. We love hearing from you. We would love to talk to you about this. And as always, stay healthy and stay safe.